Hey there, Joe Onisick back again with another edition of My Career, My Rules. This time we're going to talk about toxic rock stars. Those people that are amazing at their job, they kick butt within their job role, they do a great job at whatever the specific tasks are around their role, but the way they do that, the way they engage, their attitude, that creates a toxic environment around them. The subject of toxic rock stars is something very near and dear to my heart because at many times throughout my career, I have definitely been a toxic rock star. Although I will admit that the rock star portion of that is subjective, the toxic portion everyone would agree with. First, let's kind of generalize a term for a toxic rock star or a definition of toxic rock stars because everyone's going to have a little different idea of what this is. To me, it's somebody who's above average. They're stellar at what they do, the specific job functions, but the way they engage in doing that tends to bring down the team or bring down the whole in some way, shape, or form. Either they're a credit jockey, trying to take credit for everything that goes on. They think everyone else is stupid or everyone else is not as good as them. They won't play amongst the team, or in many cases, their general attitude tends to bring the people around them down. Basically, the idea being when somebody's awesomeness and way they engage with that awesomeness is bringing negativity or bringing things down around them. So no matter how good they are, there's a net negative effect in the general vicinity. That's what I'm going to use as my definition as a toxic rock star for this period. And as I said, this is something that I have been and can identify in multiple points within my career. You're going to see things like an overly arrogant attitude. You're going to see things like bringing other people down or talking about other groups in a very low fashion. You're going to see things like the way they engage creates an uncomfortable or a negative environment around them. Maybe people don't want to bring ideas to the table when they're in the room. Maybe people feel intimidated by their presence. Maybe people feel like they're taking credit or getting more than everyone else. Whatever it is that creates that environment where an individual makes the other individuals around them less or be able to perform less or execute less. Now, in my case, I've done this with arrogance. I've done this with egos. I've done this with thinking everyone else is stupid. I've done this with demanding more or acting like a prima donna. If you can think about that rock star that brings down the entire band with their own personal self-gratitude and self-gratification, that's the general concept of what we're getting at here and where I've been. Where you start to see this is where you can start to identify toxic rock stars is in things like they're constantly talking about other teams as stupid or lesser, or even members of their own team. They're in a constant negative complaint role. They're complaining about everyone else or saying they have to do everything, or if they don't do it, it's never going to be done right. Those types of things are early indicators. You'll see areas where they operate very differently than everyone else and refuse to kind of fall into the line, or in my case, I would refuse to join team meetings because I thought they were a complete waste of time. So I'd go just run my own plan on the side, right? These are all things that start to identify that toxic rock star. It can also just be an extremely bad attitude, which is another thing I brought to the table more than once, where, yeah, they're getting everything done, but they come in, they hate what they're doing, they hate the job, they're constantly bitching, they're constantly talking about how crappy it is, they blah, 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 the product's bad, or blah, 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 what we do is bad, or our company's stupid, or this is dumb. That type of attitude where they're executing, they're going and doing what they need to do, but on the back end, there's this big cloud of negativity that just drags around behind them at all times. Now, you want to start to identify these people early, because the earlier you can identify them, the more chance you have of keeping it from getting to a point of no return, where it's got to be, a shit or get off the pot. You gotta get rid of them. At some point, there is going to be that point where you have to get rid of them. So start looking for those trends, right? Look for those trends in yourself. I had to have a manager walk me around the parking lot and point this all out to me. And in the moment, I gave my manager a ton of crap and basically told that manager, this is me, this is how I work, you're the manager, you need to make a decision on what to do, but I'm not going to change. Now, post that conversation, a really ugly conversation I should have never done with a person I actually respect immensely, I sat back that night and reflected back on what was said and my defensive nature when he brought it to me. And I was able to look at all the things he said, realize just how wrong he was, and start to think back at my colleagues, my team, and what I was doing to them. Was I doing an excellent job? Sure, in my head, yes. In my manager's head, yes. Even in my teammates' head, yes. But I was having such a negative effect on them that even if I was theoretically 50% better at the job than those around me, I was taking 10% off of 10 people. So the net negative was way above what I was producing above and beyond the person next to me. And that's just, general numbers and subjective numbers. So you need to start identifying these things early, and you need to start bringing them to that person if you're the manager, the leader, the friend, or the colleague. If you are the person starting to identify these trends in yourself, step back and look at the effect your attitude or your way of operating is having on the people around you. Because chances are you don't want to have a net negative effect on the team. And if you're a rock star because you want to execute. You're not going to be able to execute if the environment you create drags everyone else down at any level by bringing you up. So look for these in your peers, look for these in your employees, look for these in your managers, look for these signs, and bring them to them. Find a safe, comfortable environment to go have that conversation. It's not always going to go well. In fact, it's almost always going to be a difficult conversation. Hopefully you never get somebody as difficult as me. But give them the information and then give them time to reflect. Keep it short, keep it sweet, keep it not damn straight to the point, and don't be repetitive. Get the information out, cut the conversation, give them a chance to think, and if you can, don't require a response or a commitment to change right then. Ask them to reflect on it. Because I know for myself personally, it was the reflection and my own internal decisions that made the change, not the ultimatum my boss implied, but actually couldn't or wasn't ready to execute on the back end. Next up, looking at yourself to see if you're starting to exhibit signs of being a toxic rock star. Few things come to mind when I start to recognize I'm being a toxic rock star. First, for me, it's an overall negative attitude. I start to lose interest in the company. I start to talk poorly about either the company or the product or the team. I start to look at my peers, my colleagues, maybe immediate peers or colleagues or the extended team as lesser or dumb or not adept at their job, things like this. Those are my early warning signs. Yours may be different. But when you start to look at yourself as I am better than the majority of the people around me, there's a good chance you're getting to that toxic rock star position. Now, there are a few people that are always going to be better than everyone around them. That's great. But you're never going to benefit the team or the goal, mission, profitability, whatever it may be, if you're exemplifying that every day. Nobody wants to work with the smartest person in the room that constantly needs to tell everyone that they're the smartest person in the room. So think of it as logically as you can. Is my net total effect positive for the organization or not? If I'm adding X value while taking away Y value from the rest of the team, does this even out? Am I actually adding value once you weigh these things together? So start looking for that negative attitude and doing some self-reflection. Start looking at, do I do everything on my own? Do I think only my way or the highway? Am I able to work within the team? Am I able to utilize colleagues' feedback? Am I able to provide help? Am I able to amplify the people around me? Or is it all about me? As it comes back to that all about me and you become that center of gravity, that's another sign that you're becoming that toxic rock star. Remember, if you are a rock star and you're spending half your time helping other people become rock stars, your net positive effect is far greater than you on your own. So look at it from those perspectives, and if you start to see yourself slipping into that toxic rock star position, remember, this isn't going to last forever. Sure, maybe you're that good that they can't fire you now, But do you think they're looking at you for promotion? Do you think they're looking at you for a salary increase? No, they're waiting for the day when you come in and give them an ultimatum and they tell you, we can't do it, and you go on your way. That way they take the decision of getting rid of that rock star off their hands and leave it for you because they know it's coming. So getting yourself out of this mode is going to help progress your career. It's going to help progress your team. And you're going to make a lot more friends. Even if you don't want them, you're going to have a lot more people in your corner than against you, because you're not going to create enemies faster than being a toxic rock star. When you've identified these in a peer, colleague, or the rest, figure out a way to bring it to them. If you're not close to them, find somebody who is, that can have that conversation, or a manager that can do it. It's always going to be easier if the person has respect for who they're hearing from. And bring it to them in a framing that shows them that net negative effect. For me, once it was framed and once I got off my defensive high horse and I went back and I sat alone and reflected on it, I could picture the negative effect my attitude was having on the people around me. I was taking away from their work satisfaction because I was miserable. Now, I don't want to do that. The second I started to realize that, I decided to make changes. But those changes had to be brought to my attention. Those problems had to be brought to my attention. And then I had to do the work. So it's a two-way street. If you've done that with a toxic rock star and you're not getting the change and you've tried, you have to start moving to work them out of the system. Having toxic rock stars on your team is not sustainable. It's going to detract from the talent you can bring in. It's going to detract from your ability to maintain talent. And for the talent you have right now, it's going to detract from what they can execute. In almost no circumstances will the long-term net effect of having a toxic rock star on board have a benefit. And I say almost no just to be a little easier on it. I can't picture a single one. So you need to get to a point where you attempt to make the change with that person. And if that person is unable or unwilling to make that change, that you begin to get them out of the picture and remove them. I look at it as a coach up or coach out. I'm either going to coach them up into a non-toxic rock star position, or I'm going to coach them out of the organization into a place that either is more accepting of that or where they can be something other than a toxic rock star. But I cannot keep them on my team. So if you're a manager and you've identified that toxic rock star, it is 100% your duty to start down that path of coaching them up or coaching them out. It is not sustainable to maintain them. If you're coaching them out and you have a brief period of time to do so, you want to start by trying to offload as much of what they're doing to other people. And you want to start by trying to promote those other people into that higher level position. So start finding ways to offload what's sitting on that rock star, making them a rock star, so that when you do make that decision to cut them, you're not taking that big hit all at once. Now, let's talk about the difference between rock stars and toxic rock stars. There's some argument in the industry about whether rock stars are good or bad, or whether toxic, what's the difference between a toxic rock star and a rock star. To me, if you look at the original term, rock star, if you look at where it came from, rock music, you've got two types of rock stars. You've got the rock stars that make the band better, that work as a team, and that individual's awesomeness makes more awesomeness in every other member of the band. Maybe it's the lead guitarist or the lead singer brings up the level of play of every other member of the band. They work to be a piece of the team, they work to promote the people around them, and they shine along with them, even if maybe above them because of their own natural aptitudes, abilities, capabilities, drive, or work ethic. Those are the people I want on my team. I want rock stars. I want somebody who can come in as the world's best lead guitarist and amplify my awesome bassist and my fantastic drummer by being present. What I don't want is the toxic rock star. I don't want that lead guitarist, lead singer that comes in and thinks that they are the best thing ever given to the world, and that the only thing that matters is them, and that because they're so awesome, they should get whatever they want and be able to do things however they want. Those are the toxic people. And when I identify them as a leader, I'm quickly looking to figure out, can I modify them into the rock star I want, or do I need to get them out and replace them? If somebody is 30% better, natural talent and learned talent at the job I have, but they're toxic, I don't care about the 30% better, because I know the net negative you're having on my team. And I know the net negative because I've been the net negative. So look for the people that can make the band play better as rock stars, and get rid of the people who bring down the overall band, end up breaking up the team because their own ego, their own attitude, their own inability to look at other people's value kills and becomes toxic. Get rid of your toxic rock stars. Hopefully they'll learn, hopefully they'll grow, and if not, your team will be better without them.